Manchester United star defender Lisandro Martinez was carried off of the field yesterday after sustaining a non-contact right foot injury. We have sports medicine specialist Dr. Aneesh Garg breaking this injury down. Before we get started, consider smashing that subscribe button, especially if you love sports and if you're interested in learning more about the medical side of sports injuries. And make sure you hit that thumbs up button if you learned something new today.
Hi everyone, it's Aneesh Garg with Dynamic Athlete and Traveling Sports Doc. We're going to break down Lisandro Martinez's injury in the Manchester United game today. So let's roll through here. You can see it's the injury on the right foot. And as we kind of come through here, he plants and looks good there. And then I think the injury occurred right there. As you can see, that inversion, rotational component, and that will cause stress and actually cause a fracture in that fifth metatarsal. And that's what my likely diagnosis is here, is a fifth metatarsal fracture. My question is whether or not there's a fourth metatarsal involvement as well, just with the deep flexion that you see there. So if we run through this, I don't think this is an Achilles because I think he lands right there and he's okay. I think this is more of that move right there where you can see almost that boot folding in half. And I think that's where he suffers that injury.
Let's review our anatomy here using our anatomy tool. This is the right foot that we're looking at. The fifth metatarsal is located right here. This is your fourth, third, second, and first metatarsal. This right here is your cuboid bone. You have your cuneiform bone here. This is the navicular bone. And here is your talus, your calcaneus, and we spoke about the Achilles injury very recently with the Kobe Bryant video. And distally is the phalanx of the toe. What we think got injured is this structure here.
So as we continue on, he's not able to step because even in midair, he's recognizing something's wrong with his foot and is reaching for his foot midair. So if you can see that, he is reaching for his foot mid-air. So he's immediately recognizing that something is wrong. So if we look at this angle here and we go through this, so again, we'll see him plant and he looks fine. And then in mid-air, he's reaching for his foot. And it's important to note where he's reaching for. So that can often tell you where the injury has occurred. He's reaching for the outside of the foot. And if you're worried about the Achilles, you'd be reaching for the backside or the heel. And as we kind of come through this, we'll look again and see he makes that move, and I think he's really stable right here. And then it's just really that fold that we saw on the first version, on the first run through, and then that's what caused it. So he's not able to bear weight. I think as we come through, you're looking and seeing that he gets actually carried off from the injury, from the opposition, which is, good for them for taking care of him. But as we go through this, so what was the cause of this injury? It's the plant, the rotation, and the high force stress that is put on the fifth metatarsal. The treatment for this is going to be non-weight bearing for 6 weeks, and determining whether or not this is going to be a surgical case is multifactorial. The first part is going to be where is the actual fracture, since it is blood supply dependent. So the proximal fifth metatarsal has the least amount of blood supply and therefore has the highest risk of not being able to heal and what is called a non-union fracture. The more distal, or the further away you get from the base of that fifth metatarsal, the better the blood supply, the higher likelihood of the bone healing on its own because of the nutrients supplied from the blood. Now, the other piece to this is also whether or not you want to perform surgery on a football player, soccer player that is a foot athlete, so to speak. The reason being is you're going to install hardware into the foot and you're going to potentially have decreased sensation or altered sensation of that foot. So you can imagine for somebody that makes their living using their feet with how precise they are, and their training and everything that is involved, you really have to be careful to provide this surgery if you are going to alter potentially the mechanics or the touch or the feel of a football player, a soccer player, moving forward. So I use this example that imagine if it's a pitcher that has finger issues, are you going to want to jump to surgery right away because you may lose that sensation on your fastball or even trying to throw a curveball or anything else in your arsenal there. So that's where the injury occurred in my mind, is right there, and you can see sort of that boot fold in half, but I think that's what it is. I think we've got a fifth metatarsal fracture with questionable of other bones involved, and that's where we go. Thanks for tuning in. If you guys have questions, we're happy to answer them down below.
Hope you guys learned something new today. If you did, make sure you hit that thumbs up button. Comment below, let me know some questions you might have, or if you want me to cover any injuries that you've seen recently. All right, guys, peace.